mean, we literally started on WhatsApp with bicycles, because for me it was, let me start, with what I have. That in 6 months, we were able to generate R1 million in sales, just operating on WhatsApp with that crazy process that was very manual.
Welcome to a brand new episode of Boardroom Conversations, the WATPROP Business Podcast. Today we have Cody, who's the founder and CEO of Delivery Caspe. Delivery Caspe specializes in township logistics in the South African context. I hope you enjoy this boardroom conversation. I'm your host, Justin Watkins. Just a quick one, before this episode begins, please like, share and subscribe. We're on YouTube and Spotify. Please follow us to keep up to date with the latest episodes. Cody, thank you so much for taking the time just to come onto the Boardroom Conversation, the WATPROP Business Podcast. I really appreciate you just slicing some time out of your busy schedule to join me today. So yeah, I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Awesome, man. Just in terms of Delivery Caspe, obviously we're going to unpack the business more, but behind Delivery Caspe is very much your personal journey and what you've been through personally. So tell us a little bit about yourself, your upbringing, your studies, previous businesses. Let's unpack that a little bit for our listeners.
Yeah, sure. No, thanks, man, Justin. I think thanks again for having us. Look, I mean, I come from Hammarskraal, born and bred, and, literally spent all my life there. Learned a lot, spending time in a township. I think as a young person, you realize a lot of, nuances that, you could see the wrong and the right. And I think for most of my life, staying in a township, I was always like an outlier. Very focused on my books and didn't really have a lot of friends, to hang out with because I was like weird, But then once I had the opportunity to go to university, I think I then found my environment where there's like-minded people and my love for business just grew exponentially. And that's why I started my first business literally 3 months into my academic year. Which is Godi Tutors, which is a tutoring company that I started because one, I wanted to make some money, but two, I also wanted to create some sort of impact, right, for other students like me who come from a township and don't have funds to make that extra income, using their education. So that's how I started Godi Tutors, and then that grew to a nationwide business. COVID happened, obviously, and that means we have to go back home. So I have to leave my Joburg place and go back to Hammarskraal, and that's pretty much when Delivery Caspe was born.
Wow. So COVID's hit now, and you're sitting in Hammarskraal, and you have this idea to start Delivery Caspe. Walk us through how you were thinking in terms of what gave birth to this amazing business that you've started.
Look, I think one, you realize that, okay, there's so many services and apps that are not working in the township. And for me, because I'm so used to the convenience, of ordering food online, of buying literally everything online and getting delivered to you here in the city, when I got to Hammarskraal, that was a shock that doesn't exist. But more than that, I think it was just seeing my former classmates, right, guys that I went to school with, and just seeing how life turned out for them. Because they just didn't have the privilege to go to university like I did. They've been in Hammarskraal and never had the opportunity to leave that environment. And it was quite sad to see how their life had turned out. So starting Delivery Caspe was to answer those two questions, right? So one was youth unemployment and two was convenience, right? And I mean, we literally started on WhatsApp with bicycles, because for me it was, let me start, with what I have. And if we're going to start with scooters, the people that I'm trying to hire, they won't be able to afford to get a scooter. So I think it was also addressing that understanding of where these guys are currently and how can I help and skill them up to the level where we are as a business now.
So initially you have it on WhatsApp. So what, someone would send you an order and then you would fulfill the order through WhatsApp. How would it actually work if someone had to interact with you?
Oh my God. And I mean, I thought about it. We literally had a system. Right? So from day one, I had a team of how we're going to do this. So it was simple. We had a WhatsApp number. You send us a WhatsApp, you say hi. We had a chatbot. So the chatbot would respond to you and say, hi, where are you based? And then it has all these townships that we're covering. So you would click Hammarskraal, and after you click Hammarskraal, it will bring out all the restaurants that we cover in Hammarskraal. and say you click KFC, and then it'll pop up the KFC menu, right?
Wow.
And on the KFC menu, you tell us what you want. And sometimes people don't know what they want, which is crazy. And we're like, we're trying to get you food. And sometimes you order Streetwise 2. We go to the store, we realize Streetwise 2 is finished. And now we have to go back to the customer text. Unfortunately, Streetwise 2 is no longer there. But within that process of us running on WhatsApp, I always share this milestone that in 6 months, we were able to generate R1 million in sales. Wow. Just operating on WhatsApp with that crazy process that was very manual. But I think for us, it showed us that imagine if we can automate the whole process and, how far we can go as a business. And that's why after that, we, got an app of our own that, we were able to use so we can scale to other townships. Yeah.
So basically, if someone has to interact with the platform now, it'll be through the Delivery Caspe app.
Yeah.
And then they would it still be food related, or do you guys do almost everything now?
So, when we started 2021, it was purely just food. I think only after October last year, 2024, we transitioned from a food delivery business to a logistics business for so many other reasons, right? So one being how unsustainable the business is, the low margins, the number of moving parts that you have to sustain for the business to work. And I had to make the tough decision, as the CEO of the business, to basically close down the food business for us to focus solely on logistics. And ever since then, the business model has changed, obviously. So you can't really interact with us on a B2C level. We work more with B2B clients. We deliver a lot of parcels. We do over 2,000 parcels a day. Wow. In the provinces that we operate in. So food was great to get the business started and get the brand out there. But I think now we are on a journey of solidifying our business and growing it. Because again, we still mostly catering for the township market, because we've realized that logistics, especially in townships, is very difficult, and a lot of logistics companies end up backing out of serving that area, or they charge much higher to service that particular area, which for us doesn't make sense when you look at the LSM of people who stay there. So because we come from these areas, we understand the dynamics. We are able to figure out what's the best way to do logistics in these areas, and that's where we are as a business today.
What is it about the township economy specifically that makes logistics so difficult? Why? Obviously, you have the margins and the difficulty of going into the townships specifically, but what makes the township economy so niche and so difficult to actually do business in? What is it that actually drives that?
Yeah, look, I don't think it's difficult to have business in a township. I think, look, one of the dynamics is that townships are quite special. They were planned to be the way they are, so they're mostly far out from the urban centers, right? Meaning that they have to find their own economy. They have to have their own commercial models, their own shopping centers, their own hospitals and clinics and all that in that one place. And the commute between the urban and the township sometimes is too long, right, for a normal logistics company. And if they want to go there, sometimes they charge higher. And that's one of the challenges. Obviously, too, the infrastructure is not the best. We struggle a lot with addresses. The addresses in the township, they're not as clear as they are in the urban area. And that's also something that makes it so difficult, especially when you're a logistics business. But we have to innovate, right? Because we come from there. We know where this extension is, where that school is, and that's why we prioritize hiring locals in all the townships that we work in. Yeah, I could go more and more about the challenges that we have in townships, but for us, those present opportunities for us to innovate and still deliver to these customers Caspe.
Wow. Okay, so obviously you solve the problem by hiring locals that actually know the ins and outs of the area far better than someone from the outside would actually know it.
Yes, 100%. Because even on the risk, because a lot of people would say these townships are dangerous, how do you deliver in these areas? And we truly believe that if you hire someone that has always been in that particular township, why would they suddenly, rob that guy because he's on a delivery speed bikey or scooter.
Yeah.
So we've used that model, and so far it has worked for us. And we believe that we should continue investing into this model and making sure that, again, our township people resonate with our brand.
Sure.
They see our brand and our business as one of theirs. And it's some of the things that have helped us, to penetrate the township market and succeed in it.
So you're fulfilling 2,000 orders a day in all the areas that you operate in.
Yeah.
And what areas are those?
So we do the entire Gauteng. We do the entire Limpopo. We are due to open in Cape Town this week, actually.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So
Fantastic.
the goal is to get to national before the end of the year. And so this year for us, it's really going to be massive. Really exciting. It's a crazy journey, and with all its challenges, we try by all means to have fun. And my team, very young and dynamic and very energetic. And yeah, we're just having fun.
That's absolutely amazing. And obviously that's a good follow-up into our next question, where I want to just speak about like culture specifically. I mean, you guys have such a unique culture at Delivery Caspe, but how do you stimulate that? What have you done to actually stimulate the culture in such a unique way? When I came there, I could feel that it's different. Yeah. So how did you do that?
Look, I mean, and that's my core responsibility as the founder and the CEO and as the leader of the business, right? To retain that culture of energy, that culture of youth, that culture of, togetherness. I mean, that's one of the reasons why even our uniform is football themed, yes, right? Which you would expect, a courier business to wear the normal courier uniform. Yes. Whereas with us, we're like, why do we have to look like that, right? Yes. Let's make it cool. Even our drivers, this is what they wear as uniform, right? And this is something they look forward to wearing every morning. And I think when you go deeper in what a football team looks like, right? With a football team, if the striker doesn't score, we all lose. The goalkeeper can't be celebrating that, at least, we all lose. So you have to work as a team, right? We help each other. I mean, we have positions. There's midfielders. My sales team, we call them the strikers, okay, and the accountants, they are the defenders. So everybody knows their position. And I think because we are building this great team, we're also very careful of who we let into the team, right? So who we let in, do they align with, the type of business that we're trying to build? Can we win awards with this person? Can we win trophies with this person? Because that's very important for us as a team. But yeah, I think it's all going back to, can we have fun at the end of the day? I said this to the team that, when we look back, we don't want to say the good old days. Like, the good old days are now. Sure. We build those now. And I think we have that culture of, we're building something that has never been built before. Yes. And it's exciting that we are participating in this industry as young people.
100%. And in line with that, what are some of the exciting projects that you guys as a team are currently working on that would resonate with our listeners?
Yeah, look, I think one is obviously expanding our footprint across the country. That's really an exciting project for us. Secondly, look, we've been able to work with some international clients, the likes of Temu and Shein, which are big, international brands. And we've been able to do deliveries, and we are doing deliveries for those guys in all the provinces that we operate in. This obviously new warehouses launching, and we just had a Capitec ad now that went live, which is really exciting. But yeah, I think more developments will definitely be shared on our social media, and I think we are enjoying our journey, right? We are not going too fast, we're not going too slow. We're taking it one day at a time and learning along the way.
And in your opinion, I mean, what attracts? Because I've noticed that you have a bit of like a cult following that follows Delivery Caspe. Yeah. What is it about the brand that just attracts people to it? I see a lot of young people. Yeah. Like really following your story and watching your story and being inspired by you. What is it, do you think, in your opinion, that is really motivating them to ultimately like follow you as an example and be inspired by your story?
Look, I think when you look at our story, a lot of people can resonate with our story, right? Coming from a township, there's so many people who come from townships who want to start businesses. and some start, but they struggle with getting to the next level. So a lot of people see our business and see that it's actually possible, right? More than that, I think, and this is actually our mission statement, right, which is to reignite hope and unlock possibilities. Wow. So for me, when I get a DM from someone saying you inspire me, or you reignited my hope, I know we're doing the right thing, right? Because we believe that a lot of young people have lost hope in the future, and that's a really sad position to be in. And for us, by us just doing what we do, which is growing our business, ultimately we're also bringing up hope for all these young people. And you always want to see what's the next step. What are these guys going to do next? Which makes it exciting. So whenever we announce that we're increasing our fleet of vehicles, people go crazy, but in a good way, because they see that it's possible. Wow. Starting from bicycles to managing over 100 vehicles, across the country, hiring over 200 employees across the country. It does something to you. It does make you feel warm inside, right? And I'm really privileged that I get to be the leader of a business like that.
It truly is an inspiring story, and I think in light of that, if a young person had to run up to you on the streets of Hammanskraal and say, Godi, I want to start a business either in the township economy or the urban economy, what advice would you give to a young person looking to start a business at this point in time in South Africa?
Just that. I think you've probably heard this so many times, but I think thinking too much about it, or trying to have your ducks in a row and trying to have the perfect plan, trying to have the perfect business plan, that's not going to give you what you need. I think you need to get yourself in the field. In our case, as a football club, you really need to, play the ball and start, literally kicking the ball instead of doing the preparations and analyzing the market to a point where you overanalyze and you start doubting your solution. We underestimate the customer feedback, by just you starting. I think once you've started, you can get feedback about your solution or your product that will help you, get to the next level. So for us is always like the first 10 customers are the best, because they are the ones who will give you feedback and help you refine your solution. And that's why it's very important that you retain those very few customers when you start, versus before you go to 100 customers, because it's those customers that will help you get to 1,000 customers. But when you get to 1,000 customers, you go there with a refined service or product. So just start, and you'll figure it out along the way. 4 years ago, if you told me we would be here sitting with you, shooting this, I couldn't see it, right? But you can connect the dots looking backwards, right? And I think now, seeing where we are, I'm more positive and I'm more, optimistic about the future. And all we want to do is just continue breaking records, but it all has to have a start.
That's incredible. And obviously I can sense that you're a very motivated person, and you kind of have these principles that are underpinning what you do with Delivery Caspe. But if you had to just pin maybe one or two business quotes down for our listeners, what are some of the perhaps inspiring stories or individuals that you have looked to kind of inspire you in your own business journey?
Yeah. So, I would say I would take it from some of my learnings in business. I think next year it will be my 10th year in business. And the one thing that I always say is focus on your grade, right? And focusing on your grade basically means that when you're in grade 1, for you to get to grade 2, all you have to do is do grade 1 work very well. That's it, right? If you're in grade 5, you want to get to grade 6, just hit your grade 5 work like crazy. The challenge is a lot of entrepreneurs, they're in grade 5, but they are worried about matric, right? Matric dance. What am I going to wear? Who am I going to go with? And all that, which ends up, messing up with your work for grade 5. And then you end up failing grade 5. And when you bring it back to business, as a startup, when we were in Hammanskraal, before we went to the next township, which is Soshanguve, we made sure that we are the best in Hammanskraal, right? And automatically, that's just how the universe works. you will always go to the next level if where you are, you're the best. So that's one of the lessons that I've learned. And now with my team, every month we try to sit down and figure out where are we, which grade are we on? Are we doing our best? Are we failing, or are we getting distinctions? Because for us to get to the next grade, we need distinctions. I don't want to pass with 50% and then we move on, because 50% is not good enough. So for me is, okay, find out the grade that you're in. What is it going to take for you to get to the next level? I mean, you'd remember at school, a teacher would come to the grade 5 class and say, I want the top 10 students.
Yes, yeah.
Right? They're not going to the matric class or the grade 1 class. They want specifically grade 5 students who are doing very well. And for me, that's how I see opportunities that come to you because of where you are. One of our clients at SPAR, we do SPAR deliveries across the townships. SPAR came to us because we were in Hammanskraal and in Soshanguve and all these other townships. They didn't come to us because we are national, which we are not, right? So for me is just because of where you are, as long as you are the best there are opportunities that will come to you because you are there. They're not looking for grade 12 students. They're looking for grade 5 students, and you just need to make sure that you're the best at the time.
That's great. That's great advice. And just to finish off, I mean, are there any final thoughts that you would like to leave with our listeners as just some final comments?
Let me see. I think you drive me out. But look, I think it's good to obviously have platforms like this that highlight the journeys of companies like Delivery Caspe. And I think to anyone who looks at our journey, this is not a unique journey. This is something that literally anyone who is not special. By being where I am today, if you can track down our journey, you can see we literally did simple things, but we did them very well, right? So you look at our brand, our logo, the name, the messaging, our social media. Literally the first day we launched the business, the post that we posted that day, it's still the highest in terms of impressions. Wow. Right? So we were very intentional about how we post, how we communicate, and that has along the way, graduated us to where we are today. So I think to anyone is just be intentional, right? And if you're an entrepreneur, you want to build a great business, understand that, you can't grow a business by yourself, which was really difficult for me to realize that I love this baby. It's mine, I built it from scratch. But for me to be national, I need support. And that's where you need to get team members who are like-minded, one who resonate with the vision, who understand where you're trying to take the business, and also want to be there, right? For their own reasons as well. And that's how you can grow the business to the next level. And yeah, it's really exciting to see what we can do with Delivery Caspe.
Wow, and Godi, I really, really appreciate your time. And I'm personally really inspired by your story, and I think it really inspires a lot of young people. Obviously, we live in a country that there's a lot of negativity, and you can always look to that. But I think you're turning that around, and you're looking at all the positives and the opportunities that this country affords us. Yeah. So I really, really appreciate the opportunity to speak to you today. So thank you again. And I wish you all the best in your, obviously, Delivery Caspe going more national. And I really appreciate your time today. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.